Good morning. I've been running around a little bit, so I'm a little late to my show today. Sorry about that. But I wanted to talk to you on courageous conversations. So I am just simply going to, and I'm matching my fabulous trumpet girl. I call her Trumpet Girl. Trumpet Girl, I love, love, love my Amaryllis. It's such a joy to see the Amaryllis come up. Hi, Leroy. Hi, Carol. Hi, everybody. It's so nice to see you. I'm going to do a little bit of sharing. Hi, Maureen. I'm going to do a tiny bit of sharing, and then I'm going to get going on the topic of, when things fall apart, when things blow up, what to do and how to start to think about it. I think that would be so powerful because I have to say, I don't know about you, but things were really challenging for a lot of people last year. And so it has been quite something. I do a lot of coaching and psychotherapy with people, obviously. But the truth of the matter is that I want to assure you, I want to assure everyone who may be feeling like falling apart is what's going on, that there's always something that is right in it all. So let's just get there. I'm just doing a little bit of sharing, and if you want to share as well, that would be awesome, just so people can come on the journey with us. So here we go. Almost there. Okay. So when things fall apart, it would be really great to hear some of the fall aparts that might have happened for you. But the truth of the matter is that falling apart, one of the memories I have of my own falling apart, I will share with you. I've had a number of experiences in my life in which, I don't think I could come to the table with a perspective that I have today if I hadn't myself fallen apart and then found that I was in the exact right place after the disaster, after the total destruction, the total eclipse, the total whatever it may be. And I've had this at various junctures in my life. And I've had actual destruction. I used many years ago in the late 80s, I worked in Cozumel, Mexico, and it was total destruction with massive. I worked in the hotel business many years ago, and I survived Hurricane Gilbert. I don't know if anybody remembers Hurricane Gilbert, but I survived it. And I was working in a hotel that was basically completely destroyed, and the island was destroyed, and the airport was destroyed, and my father was diagnosed with brain cancer at the same time. And it was this conflation of total, utter disaster in my life, in my work, in my home. And I remember thinking, I don't know if I can. I literally feel like I had like a nervous breakdown, essentially. It was just because not only was there coping with 2 to 3 weeks of being on the island with 300 guests, with no power and no staff and destroyed hotel, and trying to get off the island and being flown off the island by a military plane. There was that, and then going home to knowing that my father had brain cancer and that I was going to deal with all of that. And then not only, hi Jimmy, nice to see you. And then from there, the brain cancer, the operation, the whole experience there, and then some respite from my father's situation. He was sort of going to now have his time to convalesce from his operations and be on chemo, etc. And then going back to the island where it had been sort of recovered after a couple of months, somewhat recovered. They did a lot of rebuilding, put a lot of money into it, only to have a second hurricane upon my arrival. Which the government of Mexico at the time decided not to tell everyone because they were afraid that it would deter tourism. I'm like, it's going to even destroy more people if you don't tell the people to prepare. Anyways, those are the details of that one aspect of the destruction. But what it did for me is it made me leave that industry and begin my life in other ways. I pursued a career in the arts and acting, stuff that I'd always wanted. I remember thinking, wow, I have lost a parent because my dad then died, lost a parent, lost a job, lost my ability to make a living the way I knew how, and just boom, it was just like, but it forced me on so many levels to get on the path that I felt was truly, at the time, it definitely, I had another destruction after that, but my point is that was my first real sort of experience as an adult of destruction. I'd had many experiences of destruction as a kid because of the volatile family I came from, and that every time there was falling apart, it felt like the end of the world. It felt like, and it felt like I would never recover. And it felt like, so complete destruction is something I'm not unfamiliar with. And I think I have a survival instinct as a result of that. And I feel like people, one of the things I work with a lot in my office as a psychotherapist and as a coach is despair. Despair will show up, and I think it shows up for everybody. I don't care. I mean, I've absolutely can tell you that I'm at home with the feeling of despair. And despair is an interesting emotion, I have to say to you, because despair can bring you to your knees. But it is at your knees that I believe we're most receptive to ideas, to help, to acceptance, to surrender, to finally listening to the messages that might be afoot from the destruction. And I believe that despair is that thing, that emotion. If you don't, it's dangerous, because sometimes despair can lead you to wanting to just kill yourself or be completely, to totally surrender to giving up. But what I want to say is that it's never an option to give up. It's always the path to hope. It's always the path to inspiration, to insight, to possibility. And again, I wouldn't be saying this if I didn't myself experience the trajectory through the cave, through the mountain. That's why I always say there's no way around the mountain. You got to go through that thing. You got to go through the mountain to get to the light, to get to the hope, to get to the inspiration, to get to the victory, to get to the self-esteem boost. I mean, that's just the way it is. And I say this, I decided to talk about this today because I got to tell you, I do encounter many people who are like, what's the point? Despair is just, it's like despair is a transitory experience. And you need to have awareness of that and courage to go past the despair and into the hopeful, the light, and all of that. But it's like I tell people, be constructive in your, like when everything blows up, when the marriage blows up, when the job goes away, when life, turns into lemons. And don't get me wrong. I mean, I appreciate immensely the need for security and stability. Possibly that's why I love, security and stability and having a solid practice and all those things, because I've had many experiences of full destruction. And so I know it. I feel it. I've been there. I've done that. And I also have come through it. And I'm here to inspire and hold a light and go, it's okay. It's okay to fall apart and have it all go kablooey and go to hell's, it's shite. It feels like crap. It feels painful. But part of our journey of resiliency is learning that pain can be something that we metabolize and then transmute and then come through on the other side, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And so there's a real opportunity, in my opinion, for people to understand that as much as, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So for as much despair as there is as much hope as there will be. As much destruction as there is as much construction as there will be. As much, going down as there is as much going up as there will be. So that to me is what I have learned profoundly in my journeys that have led me thus far. And what I do want to ask you to do is to be open and attentive to the inspiring information that comes from the universe and from the unseen energies, and watch your inner running commentary when you're in that terribly difficult place. Try to not be at the mercy of that of the limbic system, which is the fight, flight, freeze, because it's hard to get out of that sort of, hyper survival mode. I say get more into the mode of honor the pain and the grieving of the loss, and then go past it and listen carefully to what your thoughts are and pay attention to them, and really, really do a lot of positive thinking, positive affirmations, and be open to being helped. Don't let your pride get in the way of that. I also had an experience after my last year of being, it became my last year. I didn't know it was my last year, but it became my last year of being an actor after the Mexico experience. And then I came back to Toronto to pursue a career in acting, and I had some success. But then after that, I had a very sort of blow up experience with the second show I had written and produced, and it was a glorious show about Mae West, the lovely Mae West. And the houses were full, and it was great. And then after about a week of being up, we had, I think I've told this story, I know I have, I had a reviewer with the Star, and don't forget the pre-internet, so it was the only game in town, give us a shitty review. And this mofo, bitter still? No, not at all. A little bit. This mofo from the Star art section of the Star, his name was Veet Wagner, he just destroyed my show, but didn't just destroy it in small fashion, he did it in big fashion, with a big picture of me on the art section of the Star, and with a picture of me and, kind of insulting my show with Throw Mae and Mae West. And I thought at the time it was throw me a Vachon food cake. No, it was a British term for a life preserver. So throw my show a life preserver, which I've only found out that about a year ago, that it was not a Vachon cake. It was a life preserver. And that was like my life falling apart. I thought, okay, not only did I feel tremendous shame, not only did I feel tremendous pain and despair, and my career felt over in so many ways, I went through my process. The destruction led me to want to be in a life that wasn't so at the mercy of simply a whimsical reviewer. And I realized that anytime you're in the acting business, you are at the mercy of the reviews, the people, the whatever. So I wanted to be in a career that I had a little more control over that, and that was this career. So my destruction led to my despair, which led me to being very open to hearing what's next for me, what's important, what's the right next move for me. And it became the best thing, because this is the career I'm in as a result of that, and it's been 25 plus years. So that is, I'm here to tell you that every time life falls apart, it's actually falling into place, but it's just a bit of a painful journey to get to the into place part. So you can't avoid the feelings, because the feelings will show up later. So be in the feeling. No way around the mountain. Go through the mountain. Let yourself fall apart. Let yourself be in the destruction. But at the same time, really trust that the destruction is leading you to the next best thing, to the next good thing. And sometimes you need to, sometimes you have to have things fall apart so that they can fall into place, because maybe you're too stuck in that experience, in that thing that needs to break open so you can do something else, so you can be really I know that I'm of service to the planet because of that destruction. You know what I mean? I also know that I can give you this message because I've been in a place where everything fell apart and I lost everything. And so I want to just keep assuring you that if it falls apart, I promise you, the words promise, but I will tell you that every client I see going through destruction comes out the other side and comes to another place where things are like, you know, when the marriage falls apart, there's like, wow, I'm so glad I went through. I always tell people, leave no stone unturned, give it a year, but at the end of the year, you'll at least know where you're at. And, you know, people just have been grateful for the destruction because it led them to the construction. You know, for every reaction, there is an equal and opposite action. And so just know that if you're going down, 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 you're going up, up, up. You know, if you're into total destruction, you're going to go into total construction. So I hope that helps. Despair constructively. Despair constructively. And trust that falling apart means falling into place. And know that you're not alone. Talk to the universe. Make sure your brain is constructive and positive. And write in your journal. Seek out a therapist. Get support. And if everything around you has fallen apart, money and friends and all that stuff, you still have your relationship with the divine and the universe. And remember that, even though it's unseen, it's very present. And it's very there. And it's very there for you. All right? So I just want to send you lots of love and lots of good vibrations. And also, not only that, just the assured hope. And trust me on this. I mean, you know me by now. So trust me on the fact that no matter whatever destruction is happening, you're coming through it. And it is in the going down and in the feeling it fully that the despair happens. And from the despair comes a sense of openness for help, teachability, and ability to be open to what the universe is there to offer. And be teachable. Get on your knees from the destruction, but then open up your arms and let the inspiration and the help and the teachableness and the falling down of the pride be your best allies in the destruction. And I know that Mandy joined us and Barbara joined us. Thank you so much. I'm wrapping, but I really want to be giving you that confidence. And I'd love some comments. I'm going to wrap, but if you can comment listen to it again and then comment, I would love to hear some of your comments. Okay? Blessings. Keep having courageous conversations with yourself and with others. And I love you dearly, and I will see you next week with lives. And but keep tuning in. You know, I'm always posting really cool stuff. So if you feel moved, join my group Courageous Conversations, which is a closed group, a support group, and you can share your intimate stuff there, and people will chime in and support you. And also like my page, Courageous Conversations. All right. Don't you love my Amaryllis? Trumpet girl! All right. Talk to you soon.